A key component of the modern world economy, the chemical industry delivers products and innovations to enhance everyday life. It is also an industry in transformation, where chemical executives and workers are delivering growth and industry-changing advancements while responding to pressures from investors, regulators, and public opinion. Discover how leading companies are approaching these challenges here on The Chemical Show. Join Victoria Meyer, president of Progressio Global and host of The Chemical Show, as she speaks with executives across the industry and learns how they are leading their companies to grow, transform, and push industry boundaries on all frontiers. Here's your host, Victoria Meyer.
Hi, this is Victoria Meyer. Welcome to The Chemical Show. This is actually our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. So thank you for listening. Make sure you are subscribing. If you haven't already, subscribe on your favorite podcast player and share it with a friend and leave a rating or review. So this episode marks the 1-year anniversary of the Chemical Show podcast. 45 episodes, a top 5% rating, and lots of feedback and followers. What a year it's been. And I just wanted to, frankly, just say thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing the podcast, and let's keep it going. We are not going away. We are getting bigger. Earlier this year, we've launched the Chemical Community. So if you have not yet joined in on the Chemical Community, please do so. It's you can go to the URL. It's thechemicalcommunity.com. It's pretty straightforward. And on the community, you have a chance to participate in live discussions, some live webinar recordings or podcast recordings with some of our podcast guests, engage with some of your peers across the industry on topics that you've heard on the podcast or just that you're interested in what's going on and more. It's new, it's growing, it's free. Check it out. I think you're going to like it. The second thing is we'll be adding a segment this year as we roll into year 2, making a few changes. And this segment is a business coaching session. So it's going to be on some podcasts, episodes, maybe not all. And frankly, this is a chance for you, the listeners, to be part of the podcast. So if you've got a question, if you're frustrated by the ability to implement a strategy, to get a customer to truly understand your value, your business's value, or something else, some other business challenge, question, comment, just bring it to me and we're going to talk about it on the podcast, and you'll get a chance to get some live coaching. So head on over to the website, thechemicalshow.com, to submit your questions, and we are going to be taking that off like a rocket. And then the third piece, of course, is thought leadership. So we are going to continue bringing on leaders across the industry and sharing topics across thought leadership around the customer experience, digitization, sustainability, supply chain, really the key trends that are driving our industry today, and really those that are helping each of the companies that I talk with in your company differentiate, create value, and have a long-term sustainable business. So stay tuned for those 3 things. So on this episode, I really just want to do it's going to be quick, but we want to do a then and now. So if we think about what was going on at the beginning of 2021 last year, and then where we are today. So, end of first quarter of 21, end of first quarter of 22, beginning of the second quarter. A year ago, we were in the midst of the COVID pandemic. Vaccines had just started rolling out. There was still a lot of shutdowns. People were working from home, not traveling, not going to conferences. Life was not normal. Here we fast forward to a year to now. COVID is being considered in some ways an endemic rather than a pandemic. Although as I record this, China has just shut down Shanghai. So I think we still see parts of the world that are struggling with how to approach and handle COVID and how they're going to have that response. We've turned the tide. I think a lot of people would believe in terms of where we are today versus where we were when we started this podcast. And a lot of our early conversations talked about how those companies were handling and leaders were handling the pandemic and the COVID situation. And so you'll be hearing a little bit less of that probably. A year ago, oil was at $61 a barrel, was WTI. Now it's almost double that. Last number I saw was over $110. And that obviously moves around. Geopolitics has a big part to play. Business recovery, economic recovery has a part to play, but certainly we've seen here in the early part of 2022, the effect of Russia and Ukraine and the conflict that's going on there, that's having a dramatic influence on what's going on in the macro industry, and oil as it ties back to chemicals and all of those other pieces. So big change then and now. A year ago, we were talking a lot about supply chain challenges. I don't know if you were like me, you were thought maybe, or maybe it was just hopeful thinking that we would not be talking about supply chain challenges. And frankly, I think people are talking a little bit less about it only because we're tired of talking about it. But supply chain challenges haven't gone away. And then maybe one of the biggest things is the evolving workforce, and the ways of working. So a year ago, much of the industry was still Zooming. And if they were in the office, they were not visiting customers, or they weren't having customers and visitors on site. Today, as we go forward into 2022, a year after we started the podcast, things are getting to be more in person. So I know I personally have had the chance to go to a couple of different conferences, and it looks like there's going to be more happening in the future, having more customer meetings in person as opposed to Zoom, and a lot more. So I think we're turning the tide. But as you guys know, and anybody that listens to the news, watches and reads articles, or just talks to the people in your house or your colleagues, the ways of working are very different as we roll into 2022 versus 2021. So those are just some, obvious things of what's going on in terms of the then and now, right? So I think we've turned the tide on COVID, which certainly wasn't the case when the podcast started. And then there's a few other things happening. So what have I learned? So this is something that people ask me a lot. So, it goes along with the question of, gee, why did you start a podcast? And part of the reason was that, hey, it channels my inner Oprah Winfrey. And frankly, a big part of this was the fact that I think the chemical industry needs a voice, wants a voice. There are so many great stories to be told, and that people want to hear. And frankly, that's proven true. So, in terms of what have I learned in podcasting over the last year? Number one, people, listeners, you want to hear great stories about companies and about leaders in the chemical industry. Why? One is just a genuine interest, right? So this is a podcast is personal. You create a personal connection with the people you're listening to. And I think there's just a genuine interest in learning about other leaders across the industry, other companies maybe you've admired, and leaders you've admired, how they're tackling common challenges across the industry, right? We're all facing a lot of the same issues. And it's great to hear how other companies are tackling those issues. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned, frankly, been validated for me. That was one of my early premises. And I think there's the opportunity to have thought leadership. And so, as the podcast has evolved, you've heard me talking a lot more about customer experience, which I think is really critical, and the differentiation that comes with that. And that's something that we'll be talking about more: strategy and strategy execution, and how companies really embed strategy with their employees, with their businesses, frankly, with their customers and suppliers to create value. So, an opportunity to really identify where's value. And so that's part of the conversations, and it's interesting. I find it interesting. I think you guys do too, to hear from leaders, really successful, respected, admired business leaders, how they're tackling some of these challenges, how they're creating value for their company, for their employees, and for their stakeholders. And then I think the other, reason why do people want to hear great stories is we've, as a chemical industry, have been lacking a common, cohesive, positive voice. It's out there, right? But it happens in pockets. And I think the opportunity with the Chemical Show, and that you guys have told me, I've heard this from people when I get feedback, people send me emails, LinkedIn messages, et cetera, that these stories are important. And that getting the stories out, learning more about the positive impact that the industry has, how business leaders are really seriously thinking and approaching and reimagining their businesses is important, and taking it outside the four walls that it would otherwise stay in versus keeping it inside. The second thing that I've learned, frankly, this was a bit of an aha for me, but it's these chemical industry leaders have real fans. Like whenever I interview somebody, I'm always astonished in a really good way, not in a bad way, but I'm always like, like, oh, I loved hearing you talk about Brad Beauchamp or talk with Brad Beauchamp or John Foley or Calvin Emmanuel or Meg Bohan or one of the many, the 40 people. So I've only listed a few. So I hope nobody feels offended at this, but these business leaders have fans, and that's been really cool to see. Right. So I've enjoyed that. You guys have obviously enjoyed it. And what it says is that these leaders are making a really positive impact on the people that they do business with, within their companies, with their peers across the industry, with customers, with suppliers, with other stakeholders. And I think that's cool. It's cool that leaders in our industries have fans. And hey, if you're listening out there, Brad or John or Meg or Calvin or John, and we've had a few Johns on, John and Tim and others, you guys have some serious fans, and that's really cool. The third thing that I've really learned is about these leaders. And it's about their commitment to their business, to people, to relationships, to sustainability, to an agenda that keeps the chemical industry and their company thriving. And what I think is really, and maybe these are the commonalities in the leaders that I've spoken to. And maybe this is a commonality in leaders across the chemical industry. We'll interview some more and you guys can tell me. One is just genuine, heartfelt leadership, right? I think it comes through. These leaders I've spoken with, they are committed to their people. And it's really people first. Employees, customers, suppliers, business partners. There is a true and genuine and heartfelt leadership commitment to people. There's a commitment to the industry, and then there's a commitment to the industry's common goals, right? So just genuine, heartfelt leadership and commitment. The second piece is creativity. These leaders are pretty creative, and I can think of a few stories that have been shared in terms of challenges that they've faced and how they've creatively worked around it. The third thing is around their growth mindset. So I started to say they're entrepreneurial, and they are in their own way, even inside big companies or whether it's small companies, whether they're the owner or whether they're the CEO or an executive. It's entrepreneurial, but more than anything, it's a growth mindset to their business, their teams, themselves, recognizing that there's more, that there's an opportunity for bigger and better and growth. And that's really critical. And frankly, they're smart and savvy, right? And that's not a surprise. I think we know it, but it comes through. And I think that's been part of the fun, is to be able to highlight some of that, some of the cool, innovative things they're doing, the smart ways they're handling business challenges. That's critical. And that's critical to chemical industry leaders, business leaders everywhere. And I think that shines with the folks that I've been able to interview so far. And then fourth, the last thing I want to cover in terms of what I've learned is about the listeners. So number one, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. A podcast can exist. It's kind of the question of if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears, does it still exist? Well, if a podcast is recorded and published, but nobody listens, does it exist? Well, thankfully, I've had some great listeners. The Chemical Show is in the top 5% of podcasts globally, which is really amazing to me. I'm thrilled by it. And you guys should be thrilled too, because that means you like it, that you're hearing something that you like, that you're listening, that you're sharing it with friends and colleagues and doing it. So let me talk about our listeners, talk about you and what I love about it. Number one, the listeners of the Chemical Show podcast are loyal and diverse. You guys are listening, and that's awesome. Listeners come from 59 different countries. That's astonishing to me, right? So about 80% are in the US and Canada, but we've got listeners in, I'm going to say all the continents. I maybe be slightly false on this, but we've got folks in Australia that are listening, the Philippines, in countries all across Europe, people in Africa, South America, North America, Asia. You guys are going to test me. You're going to tell me I missed a continent, and you're probably right. But pretty impressive to have listeners at 59 different countries. Cool. Somebody asked how many, what companies listen. And so I've been able to do based on our email list. And if you're not subscribed, let me know. Go to the website, sign up for the email list. You get different information sometimes than what's on the podcast. And it's great to have you be part of that email list. What I know is that we have listeners and followers of the podcast from well over 150 different companies, possibly even more than that. So that's really cool. Very diverse. This is not a highly concentrated audience. It is a really diverse audience. And the other aspect of diversity is, just what you do and what you bring to the chemical industry, whether it be inside of a chemical company, a chemical distributor, a supplier to the company. We've got people at the executive level, business managers, sales people, administrative, engineering, manufacturing. What a diverse crowd. And that's really cool. And frankly, what I like about it is it really represents the diversity of the industry, of the people in the industry, and being able to make that connection and that you're interested in what's happening. So that's awesome. So thank you. Thanks for a year in the Chemical Show world and the year of the Chemical Show podcasting. I am looking forward to another year with you. We have a lot of great guests coming up. So keep listening, keep following, keep sharing, and continue being part of the Chemical Show.
We've come to the end of today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed your time with us and want to learn more. Simply visit thechemicalshow.com for additional information and helpful resources. Join us again next time here on The Chemical Show with Victoria Meyer.